model.
Cherry on top of the whipped cream. There it is.
What's poppin'?
Let's get into this business.
So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it. This is an absolute wonderful platform.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be part of it, and not only that, it's just like it's wonderful. I'm happy that we have a place where we can come and really be, as real as we possibly can.
I'm glad we make you feel comfortable because there's a bunch of niggas in here right now, boy.
Hey, I am in my comfort zone. You guys don't even understand. It's how I feel right at home.
That's what it is. All right, so let's get into what you do. Some of these businesses.
Okay, so your Urcherryontop services. First off, I want to give a shout out to Tatted Up Holly. That is my main focus.
Who was supposed to come today that didn't come?
You know what? Franchise. I wish I could give you enough of a actual response, but I really don't know. So I'm gonna say no comment on that because I haven't been able to speak with the person one-on-one. So
gotcha.
I will say this is exactly the reason why I'm cautious when I put my name on something, because I go 128,000%. And people say that they're into it, but they're really not. So
I got you.
That's all I have to say on that subject.
Oh, she has to be specific.
So shout out to Tatted Up Holly. I represent Tatted Up Holly. She is a brand model. You can find her at Tatted Up Holly on all social media. So what I do is make sure that when you call me and say I want Tatted Up Holly to come host at my event, whether it's a mixtape release, whether it's a makeup, whether it's inauguration of a business, I am the one who's making sure that the contract is drawn and that your money, your reputation is taken care of, as well as my client.
How much she charge?
It all depends.
To host a party.
It all depends on the establishment. So, Van Gogh is an establishment that has about 100 to 250 capacity. With an establishment like that, we charge between $1,500 to $2,000 plus expenses.
Okay, that's not bad. All right,
and the key thing when hiring an urban model to promote your establishment, promote your brand, promote your product is, you want to make sure that you are working with someone who has solid followers, someone who knows that if I say, you're going to use this, excuse me, gentlemen. Now, Stan will not accept that type of behavior.
I just showed him a picture of Tatted Up Holly. So he's...
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to understand it's that type of reaction.
I'm sorry, he's drunk.
It's that type of reaction. Stan, please make sure to post up a picture when we get into the Tatted Up Holly comments, so we can understand the reaction of my young man here. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Great personality. And once again, if interested in hosting for any of your events, effortlessmngt@gmail.com. That's how you're able to get in touch with us.
All right, besides management, what else?
So I am the guru of bar rescue in Providence, Rhode Island. If your establishment needs...
Stop, let it go. Go ahead.
So establishment, as far as making sure that your bartenders and servers and everyone that is part of serving alcohol is certified. I make sure to go in, I do customer service training, as well as pretty much making sure that these establishments are up to par. If I have not been in your establishment, there is a reason why. That's all I can say with your question and saying how many establishments I have
at least let me get the question, though, because I want to, how many have you saved in Rhode Island?
So I currently, I have worked with Lovera Bar. Not that they needed any saving, but I've done all their staff certifications. Lovera Bar, definitely a shout out to them. They're a great establishment. They have a really good lineup and setup, and they know how to follow directions, which is an amazing thing. I've done Davenport in East Providence. Also locations like LA Base. I've also worked, let's say this, you definitely have worked with one of my students somewhere, somehow, either in Applebee's, right down to Broad Street, all the way from Complex. That is guaranteed.
Diversity.
Key thing is showing your student or showing the prospect bartender or server that the person that you're serving could be your mom, your dad, your brother, your uncle. So instead of overpouring and giving this person an excess amount of alcohol, why not make a good drink and actually establish a rapport with customer service where that person wants to actually come back because you've made them feel like VIP, not because they're drunk.
Less liquor, more talk. Is that what you're preaching? Less liquor, more talk?
Not even less liquor, more talk. It's just you want.
It kind of sounds like less liquor, more talk.
No. I always promote, you know what I'm saying, a good balance of drinking. If you think about it, you've been at establishments where you've seen other patrons and you're like, wow. You know what I mean? Why they didn't even let them go that far? The reason why there is certification needed is in the state of Rhode Island, we are a dram shop state, which means that you as a patron, when you're going into these establishments, if something was to happen to you, or if you was to cause damages to another person, or even cause damages to private property, your family has the right to actually sue that establishment because we're responsible for you. Alcohol is a depressant, so it's a controlled substance. It's like we're the pharmacists. We're the ones who need to make sure that we are, you know, providing a good environment, a nice time, and that you are able to consume, but not to a point where, you know, you're near to alcohol poisoning. I mean, think about it. In the state of Rhode Island, because we're so small, the number one death cause is because of alcohol-related situations.
Yeah, I have 2 questions now. I just want.
You can do one. The one you was gonna ask was perfect. Go ahead. Go ahead and ask that question. Don't let him throw you off.
Nah, I want to know what was the worst bar you had to save.
I'm not going to mention any names because the reason why is, unfortunately, I actually have contracts. I do exactly. It would cause a conflict of interest.
Can you just describe what it was?
So this is what I will say. First off, if the establishment is serving drinks in glassware, the first thing that you want to do is tell your bartender to show you the glassware before they actually serve. If not, then immediately just ask for plastic. Why? Because the majority of these establishments are supposed to have a dishwasher that is going to wash your dishes at a certain degree, a certain temperature to sterilize it. And they don't.
So everybody's sharing glasses in the club?
So which establishment actually don't have that?
Well, what I would say, and what I'm saying is, to be safe, you want to go straight for plastic. That or just stick to the
Bobby.
All right, let me see if I can work my way into this. If we're talking worst places ever,
yes,
most common city: Providence, Cranston, or Warwick.
I want to say West Warwick.
Really? West Warwick?
Trump City.
Yes.
Ooh, what's some of the
Trump niggas is nasty.
What's some of the worst?
Trump niggas is disgusting.
What's some of the worst you've seen out there?
When I do a training, I immediately say this. You want to act as if the establishment where you're working is your house, and that the patrons that are coming into your establishments are those last minute friends that are like, bro, I'm on my way from the city, you know what I'm saying, I'm on exit 92, I'm on my way to your crib, and you get up and you're like, oh shit, I need to go shopping, I need to wash this, I need to take out the brand new toilet paper, I need to make sure I wipe this down. You do what you need to do to make your house presentable, because at the end of the day, it's not about where you work. You're still a server, you're still a bartender, you're an individual who's providing a service. So if you're not giving 100%, top quality, it's just a representation of you. It's not a representation of the club or a representation of the manager. It's a representation of what you do.
So there's a possibility I can go to a West Warwick bar and go in the bathroom and there be no toilet paper.
Well, no. Think about this. There's a high. There is a simple things. Ice bins. Ice bins should be clean and sterilized on a daily basis. If your ice bin has a gooey feeling on the bottom or on the inside, there is a problem. That means that you have bacteria that has now infested. The ice bin is where the ice is placed to serve the actual customer for mixed drinks.
I've heard there's some ice bins that are more dirty with bacteria than actual toilet water.
Well, the key thing is that you have to understand that you're serving consumers, and you want to make sure that you are 100% thinking as if you're doing in your house. For those of you who are hygiene, literate, so to speak.
All right, real quick. How many clubs and bars in Providence have you gone to and noticed that the Hennessy is not real?
Okay, so this is what I will say. If I have not been to your...
No, I just need a number.
That Anzac, boy. Ooh.
I just need a number. I let you slide this whole time. I just need a number. Yeah, she'll talk you right out of the question. How many bars?
Sick?
How many bars have you gone to in Providence? I don't need names. I don't need
You
names.
have
Just
that
an
extra
estimate.
headache
So
that will go in the morning.
Where it's been NSAC, not Henny.
My professional experience is this. I have been hired to go to the establishment and do trainings or to do customer service or to even just line up their bars. And if your par room, which is the inventory room, it doesn't have bottles in there equipped, ready to serve, then there is a problem. If you
Nah. How many times have you walked in clubs in Providence to do your work and noticed that these bottles aren't really Henny? It's Anzac that they're refilling it with. And I know you know the answer because we just talked about it.
We got that extra headache in the morning.
Okay, so I will say this, at least 3. And for
Okay,
the
that's all
consumer, I have a tip. If you go to an establishment and you look at the bottles, if the label on that bottle has been deteriorated in any shape or form, it is guaranteed that they're filling those bottles.
Okay. So that does exist. We are.
I know one that does give you a bottle like they pour the Hennessy out the soda thing.
Yeah, see now that's I've never heard of that.
And
Wait.
I'm
Wait.
not...
Wait, you're not under contract, but what place is this? He's not under contract.
The only time that the only time that you actually see rum or actual liquor on a gun is for a high-paced environment. So when you go to Las Vegas, for any of you who have visited, when you order a drink, even sometimes a Sex on the Beach, a pre-mixed drink, it's automatically on the gun because it's such a high volume that they don't have a time to actually mix. I've never been to this establishment, so I'm not exactly sure what their volume is.
You probably have.
Yes,
You
please.
probably have.
But it is definitely a little weird because, again, it's really based for high volume, high velocity, where that
So if it's a
bartender is
small
not
club-
going to spend 4 seconds picking up the bottle and pouring. It's directly coming from a gun, so it's like boom, boom, boom. That's why I say it's places that you see high tourist attractions like Las Vegas, Orlando, Dominican Republic. You also overseas, for example. Those are the type of locations, but I've never really seen it locally.
Kind of basically answered.
So when you're not drinking good quality liquor, like we buy bottles. I'm a cognac drinker. I'm 1738, not because of, Fetty Wap. I love cognac, but I know, I know that there are establishments that if I go, I'm not gonna be able to trust it. This is why I will say this.
And you won't save us? That's the you won't tell us to save us. That's
so
the
hands
part.
down, all I can say is this. I have, like I said, I only put my name on things that I know is 100%. LA based, La Base, 11 West Friendship Street, Providence, Rhode Island, 02907. Right next to Expressions Plaza across the street from Domino's.
Just tell him it's next to the cemetery. That place they be looking lit like it's like 100 cars.
There is
at 3 in the
going
morning.
to be nothing but 100%. Shout outs to Johnny Cash, which is the actual owner of LA Base. He is.
Wait, back it up.
Johnny Cash?
Why'd you say it like that?
Yes, he is also.
Johnny Cash.
He is also the
hold
owner
on.
of Bomar Liquors, that's located on Eddy
right,
Street.
we know.
When I say hands
Johnny,
down,
We know.
Johnny.
He's buying the block for a
Southside
second.
guy knows
boy.
Johnny Cash.
I will say this: if you go to my establishment, and oh goodness, please protect us. But if you go to our establishment and you do order a bottle service, please know, consumers, that in the state of Rhode Island, bottle service is illegal, and us as management, we are risking ourselves and receiving a fine for each bottle that's actually found if we actually was to get a state inspector to hit a spot. So the policy at LA Base is if you do order a bottle service, because we have to be competitive with everybody else, even though we are, bending a little bit the law, the actual bottle is open directly in front of you, and it does need to be poured into another container. What we don't do is bring you the container filled with the liquor.
So we heard this before, like that people walk around the clubs with like empty bottles, because like you said right there, that you're not allowed to give the bottles.
He's taking shots.
So
He's
how
taking
often
shots.
do
He's taking shots?
How often
He's taking
do
shots.
people
Don't let him
have
finish. Don't let him finish.
actual liquor in that bottle?
I
Only
cannot
certain people
speak.
that actually have the liquor.
Yeah, I cannot speak on other establishments. I can only speak on the establishment that I represent. I'm not exactly sure what happens at other places. You might have a little bit of a front. I really don't know.
First of all, now you know what? I seen a nigga get a bottle for everybody's drink.
And then when the bartender walked away, they all poured a drink back in the bottle and they walked around like they was.
He's lying.
Hey, franchise, I got you, nigga. 16 on these niggas, man. Let's go.